What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to do a scientific research study on the Halo 3 and the SpotOn. Who am I kidding? Nothing I do would be qualified as scientific research. What I am going to do is do a little field test between these two, see which one shakes out the best, see which one's got the most accuracy. I'm always recommending the SpotOn here, and this is the SpotOn Omni version, and this is the Halo 3. I'm always recommending the SpotOn on the Halo because I feel like it's been more accurate for me over time, and I've had the SpotOn second generation for months now, and I've had this one in my hands here for a few weeks. Basically, I'm just going to do a field test out in the wide open, compare them both. I'm going to set everything up according to how the collars operate. One stake for the Halo, two stakes for the SpotOn. I'm going to do one out in the wide open. I'm going to do one in the woods, and I've got a perfect spot for that. Disc golf course across the road. Got a big wide fairway inside the woods. It's almost complete tree coverage in there, so that'll be outstanding. Then I'll do one in my yard closer to the house where I have kind of a mixture of both. Got a big wide open spot there with some scattered tree cover around the area. I think that will give me the best idea of how accurate these things are going to be in a number of given situations. So that's it. That's all there is to it. We're just going to see which one is the more accurate collar and attempt to verify the claims of both of these manufacturers. Speaking of claims, both SpotOn and Halo, obviously they have their own marketing ploy. They make their own decisions as far as, what they put out there for the customers. SpotOn advertises 7 times more accuracy than the Halo. Now, obviously these two are main competitors, so they're always comparing to each other. There's no other smart collars that are, up in the same area as these two are. So, that's going to be their primary. When SpotOn says something, they're usually referencing Halo. When Halo says something, they're usually referencing SpotOn. So the SpotOn says that it is 7 times more accurate and 11 times more accurate in multi-path environments. You're taking into account forest, which is why I decided to do, an open test, a forested test, and a kind of a mix between among the three. So that is their SpotOn's claim, and the Halo's claim is they don't use a specific number. They just go with unrivaled accuracy. Now, unrivaled by definition means there is no rival in terms of accuracy. So that immediately disputes the SpotOn 7 times, 11 times claim, because that's basically what unrivaled means. SpotOn's not a rival. They're not even close. The Halo also claims that its collars operate within 1.4 feet of accuracy on average. So that's what we're going to find out. So my scientific research, or my field test, so to speak, what is the methodology? Well, I pretty much laid it out in the intro. I'm going to do an outside one, or outside, they're all going to be outside. One that's wide open, no tree canopy. One that has a very thick tree canopy cover. Here in Florida, all we got pretty much are pine trees and oak trees. And where I'm going, there is a lot of oak trees, and these are big, giant oak trees, so there's going to be plenty of canopy. And then an area with a little bit of a mixture, so to speak. That way we can kind of test some of the things that these collars say that they have. The Halo, unrivaled accuracy. The SpotOn has the forest mode. I think the forest mode is going to be interesting, going down into the woods like I am. And we're just going to identify the main differences between these two in terms of, how precise they are. I mean, you want precision with these smart collars. Without precision, what's the point? We're going to be using these collars to keep our dogs contained and, hopefully track them down if they get lost. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, I think, to most customers, especially considering the prices of these collars. I don't want any obstructions out there. The collars are going to be fully charged. I'm going to, with the SpotOn, it requires 2 stakes because it gives warnings based on 2 set areas. So I'm going to measure those sticks out, go ahead and set them in, and then I will set up the virtual fence with the SpotOn based on those what I've measured out. That way, you can kind of get a visual representation. So once we get these stakes set up and everything, we'll go ahead and walk it out, and we'll see if the collar pings when it's supposed to, if it's a little bit off, if it's a little bit early. There is a such thing as fence drift. Let me remind everybody about that. Fence drift is an issue with all of these collars. They can't escape that. That means the fence just moves a little bit back and forth here and there. You're supposed to give or take 5, 6, 7 feet, based on the GPS signal at the time. No GPS signal with these collars is absolutely perfectly accurate, so you're just not going to find that. If that's what you're looking for, you might want to fast forward 50 years into the future or something, because they don't have it right now. All right, now we're out here in the wide open. We're going to do the field test again, this time back with the SpotOn Omni. So I've got my stakes set up at the 10 feet inside the exterior and 5 feet inside the exterior. It should go off at the 10 foot, and then it should go off again at the 5 foot, and then it should start going crazy after I pass that last 5 feet. So let's walk it out. Past that first stake. All right, getting my first warning at the second stake. Second warning, a couple more feet past the second stake. Now I'm getting the vibration. If you look back, go ahead and show them. I'm about 15 feet past the second stake. All right, now we're going to try the halo out. Same exact thing. I've drawn out the fence, as you can see on the app. Got my stake set up. So we're going to see how accurate it is in the out here in the wide open, no tree coverage. So let's walk it out. Similar to the SpotOn, should get a series of tones and eventually a vibration. We're 15 feet past the stake. All right, now we're well outside the zone here, and I'm still not getting a response on this thing. And halo is supposed to operate better in the wide open, but as you can see, I'm not getting anything. I know this is a bit out of place because I'm hot and sweaty in this Florida heat, but I just want to say, after that last open field test where the halo didn't even go off, I threw both collars, the SpotOn and the halo, back into my bag. As we were walking off the field, the halo went off in my backpack because I forgot to turn the fences off. It went off at the exact point where it was supposed to go off, that it didn't do on camera for me to show you guys. So for what it's worth, the halo did go off. It's just its timing was not very good. I will say that that's the first time I've broken out the Halo 3 in quite some time, with the SpotOn Omni and the SpotOn 2nd generation functioning pretty well in my backyard. I've been using that with those two with my dogs instead. So it's a little disappointing to see how it did out there in the field today. All right, we're out here recording the SpotOn field test. Now what I'm going to do is I've already got my stakes set up, and I've spaced them out where the edge of the fence is. You've got your inside barrier, you've got your outside barrier. Once I pass the inside barrier, or I step up to it, I should get a signal on the collar. That is the initial warning. The second stake should indicate the second warning. And then once I step too far where I'm passing outside the boundary, I should start getting a heavy vibration on the collar. So we're going to go ahead and walk it off, and let's listen to the collar and see if it does what it says, what they advertise it's going to do. Come on. This is my first stake. Nada. Now it's going off. That is about 4.5 feet past the first stake. Went off immediately on the second stake. Now it's vibrating. We're about 10 feet past the last stake, so we're over the barrier. That's fairly accurate within 4 feet. All right, the halo is a little bit different. I've gone ahead and set up the stake. With the SpotOn, when you're 10 feet away from the first fence border, it gives you your warning. And then after that, it's 5 feet within. That's why there were 2 stakes for the SpotOn. With the halo, it's basically just 1 stake. You get the warning 10 feet inside the stake. So we're going to go ahead and walk over to the stake now and see what the halo does in comparison to the SpotOn. And I'm at 10 feet now. Halo is still not going off. It should have gone off 10 feet ago. Finally, point it to the stake. You can see the stake over there is about, I'd say 20, 25 feet away from me. Got a single warning off the halo. Let's see if we can get it to vibrate. There we go. Now it's reacting. Definitely less accurate than the SpotOn. All right, we're here in my backyard. I chose this spot to do the last of the third field test because it's kind of semi-open, right, especially right here close to the house. You have to get a little further back in the yard to get that heavy tree canopy. So this is a good happy medium between the wide open space and the heavily forested space that we tested earlier. I've already got my stake set up for the SpotOn. You got your interior fence and your exterior fence and the warnings that it should give us as we walk this out. So we're going to go ahead and try it and see how it does. All right, we're past the first stake. Past the second stake. That's the first warning. There's the second warning, just 2 feet past the first. Now I'm getting the vibration and another 2 feet past the second. All right, now for the halo. The halo does not have forest mode, so you saw how it did in the forest. It actually did better in the forest than it did on the outside. So here with a little bit of mixture, let's see how it does. All right, we're 5 feet inside the one stake that the halo requires. We're a good 20 feet past the first stake, and I'm not getting another warning, just that one. Appears like the halo doesn't want to cooperate today. All right, now that all that's done and passed, and I've had about a gallon of water to drink, I swear, when you walk outside to your mailbox in Florida, you've got to take a shower afterwards in the summer. Heck, even in the spring and the fall sometimes. But I got to say I'm disappointed in the halo. It has shown some inconsistencies in the past, but generally you're talking about, 4 feet off, 6 feet here. But we went out in a wide open area, no tree coverage whatsoever, 25 feet past the invisible barrier that I created out there and marked with the stake, and it did not go off a single time. Now, I know that, I said in the car that it did go off when we packed up and left, but that's not how these collars are designed. These collars are designed to go off when they're supposed to go off, not when you're packing your bags and going home for the day. The SpotOn in the open did pretty much what I expected it to do, and keep in mind I do not expect these collars to be absolutely 100% accurate. There's just no such thing. It's not going to happen. 2 feet past the first stake, it went off. 3 feet inside the second stake, it went off for the second time, and then it started its vibration about 10-15 feet past the second stake. So it gave its 3 warnings as expected. Like I said, a little bit off, but you got all 3 of them. In the forest, the halo actually performed better than it did in the wide open, which is surprising because the Halo 3 does not have a forest mode. In fact, that's been one of the big sticking points with the Halo, is it getting something similar to that. But still, it didn't do great. It was 25 feet past the stake. It started going off, and then it basically went through its whole routine. Did a little warning thing, and then it started, doing the more rapid, panicky emergency signal thing it does, and then it started its vibration and whatnot. But it did go off 20 to 25 feet past the stake. Now, the SpotOn with its forest mode was a little bit better. 4 foot past the initial stake, it went off. So a little bit inaccurate there, but it was accurate on the second stake. Literally had to step, another foot, 2 feet maybe, and it was going off. And then 10 feet past the second stake, it was given its final vibration warning. The correction warning, I guess, is the better term for it. Now, in my yard, the SpotOn pretty much did exactly what it did in the forest, just a little bit, of a change of numbers. The Halo went off, 10 feet past the stake, and then it never went off again. So it did its initial like it's supposed to, but it never went into the emergency mode, and that was pretty much the end of it. After a few minutes of standing there, I just cut it to a close. There's no sense in me walking over into the neighbor's yard just to try to get the collar to do what it's supposed to do. We're well past the stake at this point, so I called it a day. Now remember, in terms of accuracy, the Halo is supposed to be within 1.4 feet of accuracy on average, and it's supposed to go off 7 to 10 feet inside the boundary, so to speak. So I would say that with this collar, and I mean there's absolutely nothing wrong with this collar, is in tip-top shape, good condition, did not perform as advertised. The SpotOn was much closer to SpotOn's claims of 5 feet, within, or 10 feet in and then 5 feet in. It's supposed to go off at different intervals. The feet were off, but like I said, that's something that I expect. You got the fence drift thing that you got to be concerned about, and I mean that's just the nature of the beast with these things. You're going to have fence drift. So I expected it to not be exactly what was claimed, but it's within the margin of error as far as I'm concerned. The SpotOn operated as it was intended to operate. I think the SpotOn is clearly the more accurate smart collar in the end. Overall pricing with these two collars is a pretty hefty consideration. The Halo is $5.99, but you have to have a subscription to operate it. So it's essentially $5.99 with a subscription. Without a subscription, doesn't work. You can't do anything with it. SpotOn, on the other hand, is $999. I do believe right now they're still doing their spring sale, which knocks price off to $8.99 total. Don't know how long that's going to last, so if you're looking into the SpotOn, especially after this comparison, you may want to check it out. All right, that about wraps it up. I do think it's important to understand the consistency and capabilities of these smart collars because you're talking about a lot of money, so I encourage viewers to do their own homework on this stuff. I did contact SpotOn and Halo to ensure that I had my numbers right according to their adverts and their marketing and whatnot. And so everything that I put on there as far as their numbers are accurate according to them. Like I said, conduct your own research on these things. I do still feel like I came away from this, the SpotOn is the more accurate collar, and it's the one that I've generally recommended to people in the past, and especially this SpotOn Omni. This is the one I used today, was the Omni. I think it's a fairly accurate collar, and I think it's much more dependable than anything I saw from the Halo today. So with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe so I can do more of these videos here in the future. I think I've mentioned in the past, but I've got a bunch of Tractive stuff that just came in. I want to do some reviews on that, so your likes and subscriptions will really help the channel out. Also, feel free to comment. Tell me your own stories or your own experiences with the SpotOn or the Halo, any one of them, doesn't matter what generation. Or ask questions, voice your concerns. Always try to take the time to jump on there and answer any of your questions and concerns to the best of my ability, of course. That's it, though. I really appreciate everybody watching, and have a fantastic day.